Today we're back with Unintended Consequences, episode 34, for June 19th, 2026, Friday. Let's wrap the week with a story that has a real lesson in it. In 1996, a primary care physician in southwestern Virginia wrote a first prescription for OxyContin 10 milligrams twice daily. The doctor told the patient the time-release formula would control chronic back pain without the dependence risks of shorter-acting opioids. Within 18 months, the same doctor had written several hundred such prescriptions, confident that the medical literature supported an addiction rate below 1%. The patient, however, soon found the tablets losing effect after 4 hours and began crushing them for faster relief. That pattern repeated in exam rooms across Appalachia and the Midwest. Purdue Pharma, controlled by the Sackler family, developed OxyContin to solve a recognized clinical problem. Millions of Americans suffered untreated or undertreated chronic non-cancer pain, yet physicians hesitated to prescribe morphine or other immediate-release opioids because of fears of addiction and regulatory scrutiny. The company's chemists created a controlled-release oxycodone tablet intended to deliver steady analgesia over 12 hours. The goal was to reduce the peaks and troughs that could reinforce drug-seeking behavior. At the time, prevailing medical opinion held that patients in pain rarely became addicted. A 1980 letter in the New England Journal of Medicine reporting only 4 cases of addiction among nearly 12,000 hospitalized patients was widely cited as reassurance. Pain specialists and primary care leaders welcomed a longer-acting option that might let patients function at work and at home. Regulators at the Food and Drug Administration, operating under 1990 standards that accepted company-submitted studies of short duration, approved the drug in December 1995 for moderate to severe pain. Purdue launched OxyContin in 1996 with an unusually large sales force that visited physicians' offices more than 600,000 times in the first year alone. One might ask whether that volume of contacts could really shift prescribing habits across an entire country, yet consider the arithmetic. 600,000 visits spread across perhaps 20,000 to 30,000 targeted doctors would average 20 to 30 calls per physician in a single year, each call delivering the same charts and videos. Detailers distributed charts and videos stating that addiction occurred in less than 1% of patients. That language came from the 1980 letter rather than from any long-term trial of the new formulation. Early sales figures were encouraging. By 2000, annual prescriptions exceeded 6 million, and revenue reached $1.1 billion. State medical boards and the Joint Commission on Accreditation of Healthcare Organizations simultaneously began emphasizing pain as a fifth vital sign. This reinforced the message that aggressive treatment was responsible medicine. A small number of pain specialists and pharmacists raised concerns about diversion and crushing of the tablets. Those warnings remained marginal against the prevailing view that undertreatment of pain was the larger public health problem. One could object that any new drug faces scattered skepticism, but the scale of the detailing effort and the institutional weight placed on treating pain as a vital sign made those cautions easy to set aside. The 12-hour duration proved shorter for many patients, prompting rapid dose escalation that Purdue's own internal studies had not fully anticipated. Because the tablet contained far more oxycodone than previous immediate-release products, crushing or chewing it delivered a large bolus that produced euphoria and physical dependence. Sales representatives continued to repeat the less than 1% figure even after company pharmacovigilance reports documented hundreds of abuse cases by 1999. As prescriptions multiplied, so did diversion. Pills moved from medicine cabinets into high school parking lots and later into informal pill mills in Florida and Ohio. When state and federal authorities tightened prescribing rules after 2010, many dependent patients turned to cheaper heroin and later to illicitly manufactured fentanyl. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention now attributes roughly 500,000 deaths directly to prescription opioids and their successors between 1999 and 2022. Total overdose mortality exceeded 1 million when synthetic opioids are included. Secondary effects included overwhelmed foster care systems in rural counties, declining labor force participation among prime age men, and a lasting erosion of trust between patients with legitimate pain and the physicians who now fear regulatory sanction for writing any opioid prescription. Purdue Pharma filed for bankruptcy in 2019 after agreeing to settlements exceeding $8 billion. Members of the Sackler family contributed an additional $6 billion while retaining personal immunity from further civil suits. The Food and Drug Administration required abuse deterrent reformulations, and most states enacted prescription drug monitoring programs. Medical education shifted toward multimodal pain management and lower starting doses. Yet many patients with severe chronic pain now report difficulty finding any prescriber willing to continue therapy. The abrupt reduction in legitimate supply also accelerated the transition to illicit fentanyl, illustrating how supply-side interventions can produce new, more dangerous markets. Pain medicine as a specialty continues to grapple with revised guidelines that still lack robust long-term data on functional outcomes. When a single easily measured claim, such as an addiction rate below 1%, becomes the cornerstone of both marketing and clinical practice, complex biological and social feedback loops are easily overlooked. Incentive structures that reward rapid uptake of a new therapy while externalizing the costs of dependence will reliably discover any gap between trial conditions and real-world use. Finally, once a treatment becomes embedded in professional norms and institutional metrics, reversing course requires not only new evidence, but also repair of the trust that was spent in the original rollout. How might current enthusiasm for rapid adoption of weight loss drugs or AI diagnostic tools be stress tested against similar second-order effects? We'll leave it there for today. Thanks for thinking through this one with me. If you know someone who loves a good cautionary tale, send it their way, and I'll see you tomorrow with another. And before you go, this show is part of the NARA Network, a family of daily podcasts covering tech, science, markets, and more. If you enjoyed today's episode, give Planetarian Daily a listen. Daily breakthroughs in science, health, and longevity. You can explore the whole lineup at naranetwork.com. This episode used AI voice synthesis of my voice. Editorial selection and analysis are my own.